Next one. Hey guys, I remember a while ago, Marco saying he iframed a website into his content and outranked the original page with his page. This doesn't make sense to me as I have heard iframes pass power both ways. So wouldn't the source get a boost from his page? Is there a way to iframe other content without benefiting the other site, but boosting your own pages? Yeah, look, what Marco said is 100% true. I've discovered that through my link building business. In fact, that sometimes, and here's how I know this, because as I just talked about, guys, I go out and hunt down domains that are topically relevant in the appropriate categories that I need them to be in for the project that I'm going to be using them to build links to. So they're already relevant. They have clean link histories, clean link profiles, clean registration histories. They've not been spammed or any of that, right? So what I do a lot of embeds when I do rebuilds. Again, that's what I call my links when I go out and find domains that and then register domains that had been previously published. I call them rebuilds. Okay. So anyways, I do a ton of embeds. We do a lot of embeds. We do Google business website embeds and we do Google map embeds. When I first started this, I was doing also money site embeds, not all the time because we do a lot of anchor text links, but we would do sometimes money site embeds. And what happened was because some of these domains that I pick up for the projects that I need them for are so powerful and so clean and have so much topical relevance already built to them with clean backlink profiles in the appropriate categories and all of that, that sometimes when I would iframe the money site into a rebuild, the rebuild would end up replacing the money site in the search results. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in other words, let's just say that a target page that I was trying to promote with a rebuild for a money site, a target page on a money site was ranking in the number 3 organic position for whatever the keyword was. Let's just say tree service, Dallas, Texas, right? Like that's the keyword. And my money site page was ranking on number 3 position organic. Then I go out and find a tree service domain or a domain that was in the business construction, one of the topical categories that it is relevant to a tree service industry. And it was very clean, but it's nice, powerful domain. I register it. Then I embed the money site page into that. Well, what happened was all of a sudden that my number 3 ranking for my money site page disappeared and the rebuild domain now ranks number 3, right? It has the money site page embedded still. So technically I'm still in the number 3 position, but it's now the rebuild domain, which is a tier 1 link that is actually ranking instead of the money site page. So it's like the rebuild cannibalized the money site page. The money site page is still present in that same position in the search results, but it's embedded, it's contained within the other domain. Does that make sense? So once I discovered that, I realized, okay, that's how powerful some of these domains are, right? And so I stopped doing embeds for money sites. I still do a ton of embeds for Google business websites and Google Maps and other tier 1 entity assets. We will do embeds when we're doing tier 2 link building. But for the money site, we stopped doing embeds specifically for that reason, because the domains that we purchased that we use for link building can sometimes cannibalize the money site pages. And so that just goes back to, again, like you said, well, shouldn't the power pass both ways? Well, yeah, like for example, link equity will flow through the iframe to the money site. But if the domain that I purchased, which again, I've seen it happen, so I just don't do this anymore. But if the domain I purchase is particularly strong and Google likes it, right? Then again, you embed the money page. And yes, a lot of those metrics and link equity, relevance, and everything will pass through to the money site, but perhaps that domain was stronger. And that's why it will outrank and cannibalize the money site page, even though the money site page is still present because it's embedded in that. But I don't want that. I want my branded assets to appear in search results, not a rebuild domain. Does that make sense? The rebuild domains are strictly to help my branded assets rank higher. At least that's why I intend to use the way that I intend to use them. So yes, you can still, it still passes the kind of topical relevance and link equity and all that through the iframes. But if the page that you were embedding your target asset into is stronger, then it can outrank even the original. And that's what Marco was saying is absolutely true. And again, I've experienced that firsthand this year from doing my link building business. So we no longer embed money site pages. So is there a way to iframe other content without benefiting the other site, but boosting your own pages? Not that I'm aware of, because it does kind of benefit both, really. Because here's the thing, like when you iframe in a content, like it considers the content within the iframe as content of that page. Does that make sense? So like, again, that's why what I do with G sites, guys, with Google Sites, I do content mirroring or theme mirroring. That's what Network Empire called it many years ago. I call it more content mirroring, but that's where you mirror the site structure into a G site. But I really don't add content to the G other than the homepage. The internal pages that I mirror the structure of my main money site into the G site. And now with the content mirroring method, which I updated for POFU Live this year, I use a series of like bloggers, another one that we mirror. Anyway, the internal pages that we make are just it's a 1-to-1 ratio of the same like pages that are on the money site. We build those same pages onto the G site, but we don't need any content for the G site because we just embed the money site pages into the G site. I don't know if that makes sense, but because then what happens is the G site, when Google comes and crawls that, it considers the money site content, which is just embedded into the G site, as the content of the G site. So it's a great way, a very efficient way to add new link building targets to an existing project. That's what, again, I taught about this at POFU Live, the content mirroring method. Those of you that were at POFU Live, I know you're still waiting on the full SOPs. I've had an enormous amount of trouble with the WordPress plugin that I had developed for the site structure and everything. Anyways, I've been working on that a lot this week. I put a lot of hours in this week, and I hope by Friday to have that delivered into the POFU Live Facebook group, guys. So you'll have that. Anyway, what I'm saying is the content mirroring method, we're using Blogger now and in Cloud Pages and G sites. So there's like these different layers, but we don't really need any other content, right? You just take money site pages, content from your money site pages, you summarize that. What I'm doing is we summarize that content into a video. So the first step of the content mirroring method, and if there's a Google business profile associated with the project, then you just summarize the page content into a Google business post first, 200 to 225 words. Then you take that content and you create a YouTube video from that content using something like wave.video or Pictory, I think it is, .ai is another one. Anyways, it does text to speech and everything else. So you just paste the content in, it automatically creates a video with relevant images or video clips, and it does text to speech option from the content, everything else. About 10 minutes it takes to produce a video. So those essentially, you don't need any new content. You take the content from your money site, summarize it, create a Google business post, take that Google business post text, create a YouTube video. Those are the first two elements. Then we do a blogger. So we create a branded blogger blog and then mirror the site structure into pages or posts in the blogger blog. But we don't need any new content because now we just embed the Google business post. If there's a Google business profile associated with it, we embed the YouTube video and the money page into the blogger. That's the first layer. Well, it's really it's the first container. And then we do Cloud Pages, and then we do G sites. And the G site is kind of like the external container, the biggest. It's like the Russian dolls, right? The money site being the small doll in the middle. Then we have the blogger as the next doll. It's a little bit bigger. Then we have Cloud Pages. Then we have G sites. And every single one of those layers don't need any additional content because it's just iframe, right? And so it's beautiful because you can very quickly create this structure that now you have 4 different layers. And if you got Google business posts and YouTube as part of that, you really can have up to 6 layers. And every one of those layers become different link building targets where you can, with those, you could do bulk link spam. I don't do that. I do topically relevant links only. But what I'm saying is because they're all very high authority properties, remember the outside container, Google sites, then the next container inside that is Cloud Pages. You can use various cloud hosts if you want. Then inside that is Blogger. Then inside that is YouTube. And if Google Business is there, then Google Business Posts. And then inside that is the money site. And so you can see how you can push at each layer, you can build links to and push link equity and topical relevance in without ever having to link directly to the money site. And all that shit flows all the way down. You know, they say shit rolls downhill, right? Well, it does. It rolls all downhill to that money site. And it's a very, very powerful method that you can do. It still takes a lot of work to set it up, but you don't need to produce any more content. right? If you spend your money and effort or time and effort on producing well-tuned content for the money site, then why not just repurpose all that content without having to produce new content? And that's precisely what this method is all about. So, which, by the way, guys, I'm the mastermind webinar for the next mastermind webinar is tomorrow, and the content mirroring method is going to be released into the mastermind tomorrow. So it was only available to POFU Live attendees until tomorrow, and then tomorrow that's going to be available in the mastermind. So if you want the full training for that, come join us. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know how to iframe without benefiting both sites, but really it's the better optimized and more powerful site will benefit the most from that, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but